7:30 हो गए।
Okay, guys, it's 7:30 and I'm live on Facebook. So let's start making it okay. Live in my group itself. Yes. Okay, friends, welcome to today's session. Today's session is supposedly for the paid group members, but since the attendance has always been an issue, so I shared the link in the free group as well. So let's start without much delay. So I'm just muting you all so that there is no disturbance in between. And at the end, for the queries, I'll unmute you all. So let me share my screen. Just type in the chat box, is the screen visible, and am I audible clearly to all of you? Okay, great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let's begin now. So this is the session on practice management. The basics are the key always in any sojourn, whether it is a private practice or a government practice or any stream, be it the clinical sciences or the finance or the medical legal. Everywhere, everything, the basics is the key for me in everything. If you can win over the basics, you can definitely take over the technicals later on. But you can't start from the technicals and then go to the basics. So basics is always the key. So all my presentations always begin with thanking the Lord Almighty. He's given me much more than what I deserve. So you are all aware of my biodata. The only thing I wanted to share out there here today is that, as you all know, I'm MBA in 4 streams, three MBAs, but the specialities are 4. One of them is dual specialty. So I've learned the management basics quite a lot of times, and then there were a few postgraduate diplomas as well, where the same thing was repeated. So all those things actually became a part of my system, uh, with a great deal of effort from my side, of course. बोलते हैं ना, बहुत चीजें कई बारी समझानी पड़ती हैं, and many things need to be done to each other. So I needed those things to actually say learn in great number to had to have a total impact on me. So these things are part of my life now. So this is session number 19, the second last session of this season, or the second last season of this year, 2020. The management basics in clinical practice. What exactly they play a role, and of course, I'll be delving on a few aspects as well, which were pointed out or say asked to me in the morning by my paid group members on this topic. We start with the management basics. I think some of you is still on say unmute mode. Kindly unmute yourself because there is a lot of disturbance in the background. Still disturbance there. Somebody's air router is running. Either shift to your patient or shift to your session. Don't do two things that together. Mentioned many times, I'm a big hater of multitasking. I have been a big fan, but I'm no longer a fan of multitasking now. Anyways, okay. Thank you. That's fine now. Okay. So always a disclaimer before my practice management sessions. I lay down whether the audience wants to believe it or not. I always say, unlike other contemporaries, I have no say qualms in saying that I am myself not a practice management guru. I am just a differently enabled person by system administrator, that is God. He just added a few things in my system which make me unique. And the only thing is that I found that out pretty much early in life. And it's not that you don't have it. All of us have that. And we only need to search for it. So my differently enabled fundas don't appeal, and they won't appeal also to anyone and everyone. But I'm sharing them because they gave me success after application in my practice with the, say, backed by the management principles. So if you want to have that, you can copy them, but understand the basics behind them. but do copy in your own practice at your own risk. तो ऑलवेज से कोई जादू की छड़ी नहीं घुमाऊंगा कि प्रैक्टिस मैनेजमेंट के बाद यू गेट अ फ्यू टिप्स फ्रॉम मी एंड यू विल हैव say usually the session takes place on Sunday, so I always say Monday morning onwards more patients will start walking into the clinic. ना मैं कोई आपको सिरप पिलाऊंगा in the form of tips or ज्ञान or the carry home ज्ञान as I always give that you drink in the night and you will become effective managers. It is a process. It is a process which we have to learn and which we have to respect as well. Nothing comes overnight. Everything has, say, to go through the grind before we actually get a hold over it. So you can follow my tips. I don't really mind. But the basic logic for me, from me to you, is to understand the fundamentals, understand the basics, learn them, what I'm saying and why I'm saying. There might be unique fundas in my practice. They may be routine things in your practice, or anyone's. They might not be existing in anyone's practice. So if you want to imbibe them in your working, learn the basic behind them. Just not that he said this thing, Dr. Babdeep said this thing, and so I'm applying this thing in my practice. Don't do that. So if you do that slowly, you will become an effective manager. Uh, say successful practice management begins from there only. No one of us is a born manager. But yes, you have to go through the grind, you have to do the hard work, and you can surely become an effective manager. And an effective manager means basically using all the resources at your disposal effectively. I always mention the three E's: effectively, efficiently, and efficaciously. But if I were to give a definition of management in clinic, all the resources available to do it might be materials, it might be time, it might be staff, it might be your own self. All these are resources. The only thing is we need first to identify them. So obviously, as I say, the basics will be the key. So practice management will always begin with the first change in you. I always say, एक उंगली किसी की तरफ point out करते हो ना, like this, leaving aside the thumb, the three are pointing towards me with the thumb on the top, going towards God, of course. If you point out some finger at anyone, you want to make a change in anyone, remember the bigger change is needed in you. So practice management will begin always with changes in you. And the basic is always to understand where you're faltering, where you're committing a mistake. Once you get a hold of it, improvement only begins when once you admit, once you accept, and once you do that in you, then in your behavior, followed by a few changes in your practice, and then of course, then you can use the smart tips given by me to gain more confidence and success. And there, your successful journey towards building your dream practice will begin. So try to understand the broader concept. Practice management is all about marketing yourself and your practice. It is not about only the external marketing, it is internal as well. And internal is usually cheap. External always ceases to act after a certain point of time, but internal continues to act throughout your practice, throughout your day, through weeks, months, years. So the always my first question to my participants in any workshop, be it a paid or a free workshop, this is my first question: what do you want, marketing or selling? Some people would say that there is no difference between these two things, they are actually the same thing. So let's look at the broad chart. What is actually marketing and what is actually selling? So marketing, say, emphasizes on customers needs and wants, selling only on product. So marketing determines the needs and wants and then delivers to the product. The selling only believes in selling it in the volume. And the aim in marketing is profit through customer satisfaction, repeat purchase, repeat sale. And in selling, only the volume. Volume for 1 month, least bother when the next, uh, where will the next buck come from. Then marketing is supposed to be long term, selling is supposed to be short term. And then marketing is a bigger, say, bigger umbrella under which the selling is a part of it. We always say marketing has different advantages, advertising, promotion, packaging, all those things. And apart from that, selling also comes in that. So selling is just a portion of that. And that is where actually we commit a mistake. Just try to understand this basic management funda in your practice. The patient comes in your practice. The patient want to get a treatment done. We start through the treatment. We finish the treatment. The patient pays. The patient goes away. That's it. Maybe sometimes a little bit of communication. Why this is? Why that is? This is just the selling. Now, what is marketing in this? Marketing basically says, again, understanding the patient's needs and wants. Why has the patient come for? Try to understand the problem. Try to look for the cause. Convey both. Then, let's suppose in this scenario, I'll give you an example. A patient comes to you for, say, deep caries in a 3-6. By the first look of it, you know it is a simple, straightforward root canal case. Of course, not to bypass any norms, not to bypass the radiological, say, investigations or X-rays or anything if you feel is needed. Surely, I always say, even in a straightforward case, do take a preoperative X-ray. Never know, life is full of surprises. Let's again leave those things aside for a moment. You check the patient, you really feel that yes, this is a straightforward case of a root canal. Suddenly your focus shifts on the patient's fourth quadrant. Patients 4, 5, 4, 6 missing. The basic human tendency would be man mein laddu futa, the Cadbury advertisement on the small dairy, Cadbury Dairy Milk shots, which they're like the laddu form. They're there. So the human tendency is to convince the patient for the implants or a bridge or whatever we feel. Again, going into not the medical legal paradigm, that what is to given as an option, but suddenly our focus will shift to that because the treatment on the right side of the fourth quadrant is more expensive than the third quadrant. And that is where the mindset, say, dwindles a bit. We forget that the patient has come to us for the chief complaint in 3-6. Here lies the difference between the marketing and selling. You have to treat the patient's chief complaint with the 3 E's I mentioned: efficiently, efficaciously, and effectively. Once you do that, as a part of your duty, you will be failing in your duty if you don't do that. As a part of your duty, do the I&E. This is not income and expenditure. This is the information and education. You have to convey to the patient, yes, your 4546 is missing. What are the side effects? What are the harmful effects of not replacing those teeth? And once you convey it, let the patient decide himself or herself what is good for you. Don't pester the patient like a car salesman. Don't go on repeatedly calling the patient after 2 days, 3 days. हाँ जी, आपका क्या विचार बना? आपने क्या सोचा? If the patient is really worried about his or her health or teeth or jaw, the patient will himself or herself come to you. What is the take home message in this? Let the patient be pulled towards you, towards your job done with the 3 E's in your 3-6 or in your left lower quadrant. Let the patient be pulled towards you. Don't push it like a car salesman. That is the difference in the two terminologies if we talk about the selling and the marketing. And the aim is customer satisfaction. In our case, patient satisfaction. If they're indulging in patient satisfaction primarily, the patient will himself or herself understand that this is important. You have to come back. Now, imagine a different scenario. The patient has undergone, let's suppose, a treatment for 3-6, whatever you suggested, root canal, post-operative, and followed by maybe a crown. Let's suppose it is going that way. The patient has already undergone 2 to 3 sittings and is somehow convinced by you. He may not or she may not mention it, but you know it that the patient is convinced by that. So what, and sometimes the patients mention it actually many a times inadvertently. Doctor, मुझे करवाना तो ये भी है for the interior. Now imagine a scenario. This is the patient's want. Any anterior tooth complaint would be patient's want. It is never a patient's need. If we were to look at it with our eyes, anyone still on the? Please unmute yourself, or please mute yourself. It's causing a lot of disturbance in the background. Please. Thank you. Still there, I guess. So you need to understand that these things are actually a part of your clinic campaign, which you need to undergo, maybe as a role play, maybe as a rehearsal exercise. You need to understand this. People actually make a mistake between the needs and the wants. They charge the same for the needs and the wants. whereas it is the different. Whatever you might be charging for the day, again, pricing and charging is a matter or a topic for different day altogether. But whatever you might be charging for, you need, you may not or should not be charging in the same vein for your wants of the patient. Any wants, what I include, what I myself include in wants: veneers, anterior zirconias, or whitenings, or a similar aesthetic treatment. These are wants for me. These are not need-based treatments. Some people still do a zirconia at a 6,000 or a 7,000. Trust me, they're digging a grave for themselves. मैं यही बात बोलता हूँ, अगर आपने इसमें भी नहीं कमाया तो आपने किस में कमाया? You don't look at the volume of purchase. Respect your profession and charging that way. Most of the times, my say 1 hour is spent on only on this slide. Sometimes when I'm taking the full workshop, of course, I don't have the full 1 hour to spend on this. But that is the point I wanted to convey to you. Now, this is a query I get very commonly. So let's suppose I'm charging, say, root canal and crown. I'm charging, let's suppose, 7,000, 7,500. So a patient comes to me. He needs 3 or 4 root canals and with crowns, and the amount might be around 30,000 or maybe 28,000, as I mentioned, 7,000 approximate. So how do we convey to a patient? अगर उसकी salary ही 30,000 है, again, people don't pay from their running salary. People are conscious about their health, and they need to they actually need to be told about it, that yes, the IND part, information and education part, comes in here. They need to be told about it. Yes, this is mandatory. If you can get it done, if you don't get it done, what are the harmful effects? But don't unnecessarily say burden the patient with false information. Whatever consultation, whatever information you give in your clinic should be verifiable, so that even if the patient goes in for a second consult, he will actually respect your opinion. Yes, उस डॉक्टर ने मेरे को बताया, मेरे पहले डॉक्टर ने मुझे कभी नहीं बताया ये चीज की मेरे होने वाली है. Then once you convey it, once the patient understands it, that this thing would be still better than losing the tooth and getting an implant done or getting a bridge done, whatever the patient chooses, then it is the patient's headache. वो एफडी तोड़वाए, वो सेविंग से निकलवाए, वो कहाँ से निकलवाए? You're not going to the patient economics. If the patient is getting done, he himself or herself will consent to do the treatment or get the treatment done. So understand this aspect. Don't look at the patient's pocket. And at that point, I always say, don't look at the monthly salary. So never underestimate the pocket of the patient. One of the say few of the best pay masters of my clinic in my initial years, when I started just in the evening for the first 3.5 years. Uh, for the first 3 years, I was in a very small clinic, 10 by 7 clinic in the backyard of my house. Clinic opened only in the evening OPD just as a shock. So shock means layer, pastime. So from 1st Jan 2000 to 31st December 2003, 31st December 2002, full 3 years. Then with the dawn of the new year 2003, I shifted to new premises where I'm currently working as well. So these premises, still after shifting over there for the first 6 months, I kept on continuing till the half day. From June 2003 onwards, I shifted into full-time practice. So it has been a smooth transition in that sense. But yes, you need to understand that these things are a part and parcel of your life. So don't look at those things. So what I was doing in my practice, initial pay masters used to come from the lowest of the socioeconomic strata. It might be hard for you to believe those were not very expensive times. I'm talking of year 2000, 2001 and 2. And some of the richest guys never got the treatment done, but the poorest guys got the treatment done. So never underestimate the pocket of the patient. So I always will say, create the need. How will you create the need? By your I&E, information and education. If the patient does not know only, अगर आपको पता ही नहीं है जाना कहाँ है, तो कार घर से बाहर निकाल के आप कहाँ जाओगे? आप इधर उधर धक्के खाते रहोगे. So unless you're clear about your goals, so the goals to be given to the patient in the form of a need is via your I&E. Remember, all these things are interlinked with each other. So there should not be a man mein laddu futa approach. I always hate that approach. That is a part. Yes, we are all human beings. We are all prone to these things. But then this is fine. We don't need to indulge in those things always, because ultimately what matters is what we do honestly to the patient. So you may look at your business, dentistry, as a business. Do I call it a business? Yes, I will call it a business, because wherever there is the other IND, the income and the expenditure, where there is a balance sheet, it is a business. It may be a noble profession, but at the end of the day, we all work for money. Primary thing is money only, of course. Other things are maybe a part of it, maybe say secondary to it, maybe tertiary to it. But yes, we don't work for free in our clinic. We want to carry home. That is where our expenditure comes from. So if it is a business, you need to promote it. So how will you promote it? Advertising. Did I say just that? So yes, the word of mouth has been conventionally known to be the best source of say patient turnover in the clinic. If you are if you are a new dentist, you won't or don't want to rely on the word of mouth only, because word of mouth has a traditionally known to be a 2 to 5 year old say process, which which it turns out you good OPD in your clinics. But sometimes people don't have the patience to wait till that amount. Considering the expenses in these days are sky high, people start with a big budget. The high EMIs are there, so they what they do is they actually break down their prices, or they lower their prices to actually say run their shop. So if you are in business for long, medium, maybe say 7 to 10 year or maybe plus, so you need to show your patient that you are capable of adapting to changing time by lapping up the technology available to you. Otherwise, the patients will have one common line to say to you. मैं 5 साल पहले भी आता था, ये चीज वहीं पड़ी थी, ये अभी भी वही है, ये पर्दे वही हैं, आपकी चेयर्स वही हैं. They might not say it, but they will know it. So the interior also plays a big role in that part. So if you think the word of mouth is good enough in dental marketing, you're wrong, at least in the contemporary times. As they say in property, when you buy a plot or a shop or whatever, an asset in the form of anything or a home even, the primary thing is location, location, location. Miss Vidya Balan said in the Dirty Picture, फिल्में 3 वजह से चलती हैं, entertainment, entertainment, entertainment. So similarly in marketing, the three most important things are targeting, targeting, and targeting. You should know where your patients come from. The first thing I told you in practice management is know yourself, bringing about a change in yourself. The second thing would be know your patients. If you know your patients, know your clients, you'll be actually able to target. So these are the six. Whenever we go about the planning part, we always look at these six things, even for a marketing plan, for otherwise. Uh, these might appear to you just the 6 lines, but let's understand the meaning behind them. So, what are you trying to actually accomplish? What is the objective or goals? My goal is I want to be the best dentist of my town. That is a long term goal. Of course, if you just started up, that is your long term goal. What is the short term goal? I want to be the best dentist of my area. It can be simplified into other forms as well. Again, somebody is audio is on. Please mute yourself. Please. Then the objectives of the goals might be differentiated into different parts. I want to have a OPD of 30, 20, 50, whatever the numbers are there. So you need to understand maybe then please, please, please. How many times do I need to say? So what are you trying to accomplish? Your objective or goals? So long-term goals, short-term goals, you divide them into two parts. And who are you trying to reach? I want to say treat the say hot shots of my town. I want to treat the VIPs of my town. So know your target customers. For knowing that, you need to know who you are treating first, because this marketing plan is not only for beginners, it is for the middle load as well, it is for the settled as well. So for the middle load, then the settled ones, if you want to treat the VIPs, you first need to know who are you treating currently, who are your target markets presently, who are paying you most of the income in current times, and then what is your strategy, how will you make a plan for that, which is the say roadmap created by you for that. Then what are the specific activities or the tactics to be involved, how will you go about that part in those regimen. Then the most important thing is timeline. People actually invest or spend in something new, and then they always say ye bhi karke dekha, just for the sake of trying. They try a thing or two, and then they'll say no, we tried this thing didn't work. So then you need to understand some things need to be given a long rope to succeed, be it in practice, be it in life. It has to be a part of that. Then Most important part, the money, the moolah, the budget. What is your budget? Sometimes people will allocate a peanut budget and expect, say, hurricane return, which is not possible. You need to be in sync with the changing times. You need to allot a specific budget. At the startups, I always say 5 to 10% for any beginner should minimum go into their marketing budget. It can be in different forms. It can be varied. It can be social media marketing. Again, that is a topic for any other day altogether when we are just discussing the basics. So, what are the activities involved? Always three things: goals, planning, and budget. And my favorite word in all of these is the planning part. I don't call myself the best planner, but I do try to do certain things in a planned way so that I make, again, the for me, management is all about making use of your best resources. And for me, the best resource we have is our skills and our time. Those are two things which nobody can steal from you. If you can manage those two things in 24 hours, trust me, you will have 26 to 27 hours in a day. Then if you select missions and objectives, you should know how to achieve them. Decision making is always tough. Sometimes we have to choose amongst many actions, because then we need to know which path will be less risky or more return wise. We sometimes look at the positive side, so we need to understand this part. Then my planning will also bridge the gap from where you are and where you want to go. For that, you need to first know where you are currently. So if you don't know that only, then how will you know how much distance you have to cover? So planning becomes very important, because this is one thing I always believe and always say to my participants in any workshop, any WhatsApp group. It is imperative to keep end in mind. You know where you are, say, headed towards, you will surely get success. If you are, say, doing too many things at the same time, as some of you might be doing, attending your patients as well, or scrolling through your phone as well, currently listening to this webinar as well, trust me, these things don't work. When you have to say, get success, you need focus, and for focus you need planning. And once you have planning in hand, you can, say, overcome mountains as well. Then, as I said, you need to ask yourself, what are the goals? Breaking them into long term and short term, what are you trying to accomplish? Then this practice management strategy will connect to you. Again, a vision in your mind where you are and where you want to go. So identify your primary goals currently. Don't jump to the long term goal immediately. So, what are the guidelines for setting objectives or goals? There are so many, but I'll be discussing six of them with you. What are the most important six in this aspect? So, as I said, objectives should be verifiable. You should be able to tell at the end of the specified time period whether you achieved that goal or not. And for that, the answer is simple in figures and numbers. I am a finance guy as well, so figures and numbers come naturally to me. Most of you might be hating maths. Isn't that the reason most of us chose medical in the plus one stream? It was a forced profession for me, but it might not be a forced one for you. Had my dad not forced it to you, I would not have been sitting here. Had my back injury not happened, I would not have done MBA, and I again would not have been sitting over here. So there are certain instances, or say, those things in life which actually make you tread a certain path, and then the onus is on you to make that path right for you. So you take a decision and then you put in all your efforts to make that decision right. So that should be the aim. So how do you compare? My target was to, say, do a internal marketing activity and get this much patients in return at the end of the year, or at the end of a quarter, or a 6 month. What is the baseline for you to measure? What was there before that 6 months? I had 5 conversions, now I have 15 conversions. I had aimed for 20, but I got 15 only. Never mind, little bit more effort needed on my part. So what is the way to check? A tangible connection is always in figures and numbers. So if you want to, say, want to check your work output, how are you increasing, figures and numbers will come to you. So these objectives should be verifiable. Unless you do that, you will not be able to compare where you stand and where you have reached, and where are still more to go, or still, say, in the backyard only, in that sense. So if you update yourself, say, I update myself and upgrade my clinic, and then I'll compare it with my past. So comparison drawing should be easy in figures and numbers. The beauty is you can compare it with at any point, at any given reference point. You can compare with 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, if you, even if you have set it at 6 months. So this is the beauty. We always check about the yearly figures. We check पिछले साल इतने की return भरी थी, इस साल इतने की return भरेंगे. So that is the way things go in that task. So then I always say push yourself, but then objectives should be very challenging, but still reasonable. You should respect human body. We are not robots. We have a family life as well. You can put in your efforts, but not beyond that. So you need to understand if you are encroaching on your family time with your efforts, you need to cut down on that. Push your limits, stretch yourself, be hungry, don't be satisfied with smaller targets, but then don't be over ambitious in that part. People might be fond of reading. Even I have done that in my college life. If I say scroll upon a fiction, I used to finish the novel in the whole night. But what is the fun if I finish the novel at 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning, and then I spend the whole day like this, sleeping in my clinic, not able to give my 100% to my patients. The final result, I might create a medical legal scenario in my clinic. So what is the fun of that if that say effort of yours which has been made encroaches upon any of the other say habits uh, in your life? Then as we talked about the short term and the long term goals, don't aim for becoming the best dentist in the first year. Look at shorter goals first. First aim for your own area or your locality. People who will say, who are detractors, will always say dream big like Dhirubhai Ambani. But we, as I said, be realistic. Respect your human body, respect your time, respect your boundaries, respect your say family, respect your limitations in that sense. So but then I always say in other terms, always believe in Newton's third law. For every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. या फिर सिंपल तरीका ये है, घोड़े की जैसे ना ऐसे लगे होते हैं साइड पे blinkers. Put them on and move on without even bothering to look at आपसे कितने आगे निकल के कितने पीछे रह गए. Just don't bother about that part. So my funda is very simple. The more you kick my back, the more forward I will go. This is the line I have say copied from Dr. Sahil Chawla, the first Dentab group where I started teaching practice management in 2016. So I took this line from him, and his funda was this. And I try to actually copy a few things. If I get something knowledgeable from anyone, I imbibe that in my life. And every day is a learning process for all of us. But yes, never forget to give the credit from where you have taken that. So then don't look to reply back. जरूरी नहीं है कि हर एक कुछ तो लोग कहेंगे, लोगों का काम है कहना. You don't need to look and reply back and justify why you're doing it. If you are sure of yourself, you just need to show the results. And for that, the first thing is confidence in you, your abilities, your work, and other things. Then, as I said, don't try to handle more than what you can, even after stretching yourself. You can't actually make everyone happy, so don't try to make do that effort as well. People might even not be happy with the best of efforts around you. It can be your staff, it can be your say family. Make your best efforts, be honest, be say answerable to yourself first. Do whatever reasonable you can for everyone around you, but don't overstretch yourself in a zeal to make everyone happy. Make whatever effort you make, it should be 100%, because I always believe a half-hearted effort is a zero effort. Rather than that, a zero effort is much better. Don't try it, because people try to make half-hearted efforts, and trust me, they actually then the only answer is हमने try तो किया था लेकिन result नहीं मिला. Their answer is conveyable in their result, in the tone only. हमने try तो किया था. If somebody is confident, if he has tried with the full zeal, say, I tried my level best, but I still couldn't get the results. There will be a fire in the voice. There'll be a say, there will be zeal in the say body language as well. So we need to understand that if any effort you make it with full zeal and never leave things unfinished. So this is my favorite point. I always consider this as the pivot from where I started my management. Yes, of course, the Eisenhower metrics I knew much before I started management as well, but I didn't understand the meaning of it till I entered into management properly. So this is the four 2 by 2 metrics, which is usually available in the 2 by 2 form. Important, urgent, not important, but urgent, not urgent but important, and not important and not urgent. What comes in this? Let's dissect this a bit. So important and urgent would be those things, would be the deadlines, would be the bills, would be the, say, last day things which you have to do. The ITR filing 31st December has to be done. Otherwise, a late penalty of 10,000. Not important but urgent. This point is my, say, sorry, this point, the third point is my favorite. Not urgent but important. So not important but urgent, what falls in this? The great Indian summer sale, the big billion days, they are very urgent, but they're not important at all. There might be certain things in our life which actually fall in that category as well. Then for me, the most important point is the third one. Not urgent but very important. Not important but very important. Planning comes in that quadrant for me. Without planning, I am a zero man. I always say I plan things nicely. I give some things, certain things. My internal system works on it. I sleep over certain things, and by morning I'm ready with certain solutions given by my subconscious mind as well. I don't say it for that reason. People who have been associated with me in my groups since 2 years, 3 years, they know it. The free groups are running since almost 4 years now, so they know it actually that what I do in certain ways. Then the fourth one we all spend a lot of time on, not important and not urgent, the social media, the WhatsApp, the Facebook, the other social media, where we just say एक message check कर लें या कुछ कर लें, and suddenly you see the clock, 45 minutes have passed away. You don't even realize it when that happened. So any set of objectives, I always say थोड़ा सा इसमें selfish हो जाइए. So improvement objectives, personal development objectives. So what is the personal development objectives in that? I always say certain things you need to say practice again and again. Once you do practice again and again, you will master the art. So improvement objective is to improve your all core abilities. When you're free in your clinic, there will not be always a time when you're having full, say, full your OPD full of your patients. Go back to the drawing board, as they say. Go back to say your workshop area. Just practice things over there where you feel you lag. You already know yourself. You might be lagging in certain things which you have been constantly wanting to do. But then these things are there. When will you get separate time for that? If you're lacking in a clinical skill, you want to practice, do it on extracted teeth in your clinic when there is no patient. There is no harm in doing certain things. People feel ashamed. Some actually participants ask me, सर क्लिनिक में स्टाफ होता है, स्टाफ के सामने कैसे प्रैक्टिस करें? उनको लगेगा मेरे डॉक्टर को कुछ आता ही नहीं है. There is no harm in admitting a mistake, and there is no harm in giving an explanation as well. And there is no reason for sometimes giving an explanation as well. So you need to understand which category you fall in. So practice management via external marketing can grant you skills to get your patients in, but your work skills only will help you retain that patient. अगर काम आता होगा तो ही patient retain होएगा. Always give the example of I always give example of superstars like say Amir Khan, Salman Khan, say Shah Rukh Khan, Akshay Kumar, Hrithik Roshan, Ajay Devgan, all those stars. So of course, the COVID times discounted, but what exactly the power they have? They have the face value, the star power. What they do? They pull in the crowd on the first 3 days of the week, on the first 3 days of the movie, the Friday, Saturday, and the Sunday. Of course, with the advent of social media, the movie will go bust if even if it is bad, even it'll go bust on Saturday as well. But let's talk of the conventional times. The first 3 days, still the movie will earn money, but Monday onwards, the star value ceases to act. Monday onwards, the content does the talking. If the content is good, if your work skill is good, if your content is good in the movie, then only it will run. Same logic will apply in your clinic. The external marketing, which has, say, uh, forced or pestered the patient to walk into your clinic. Once the patient is inside your door of the clinic, that external marketing ceases to act, and that is where your internal marketing takes over along with your work skills. So practice and practice till you get bored. डॉक्टर के काम को प्रैक्टिस क्यों कहते हैं? इसीलिए बोलते हैं ना. Then the my favorite dialogue from 2009 Akshay Kumar Deepika Padukone movie Chandni Chowk to China. मुझे तुम्हारी उन 10,000 मूव से कोई खतरा नहीं है जिसकी प्रैक्टिस तुमने एक बार की है, पर मुझे तुम्हारी उस एक मूव से डर लगता है जिसकी प्रैक्टिस तुमने 10,000 बार की है. 1-0 is less over here. But then I don't fear your 1,000 moves which you have practiced once, but I fear the most that one move for that you have practiced 1,000 times. So make yourself perfect in something or the other. We all are blessed. We all have some talent inside. uh, in us, and we just need to recognize that talent which is not inherent to us or visible to us. I always say, remember the elephant theory. Elephant theory is basically the small elephants are tied to a small rope with the tree, maybe with a small pillar dug in deep inside the sand, or maybe in the earth. And the young elephant, baby elephant, cannot get away from that. So slowly, as the elephant grows into size, it becomes the gigantic mammal on earth. And for that, even a chain is not good enough. But even then, even a chain or a rope is used. The same rope is used to tie the elephant to that. But still, the elephant can't get away. It is the mental part. It is the conditioning. And similarly, we try one thing in life once, and then if we have failure or if we encounter failure in that, we keep on hanging like a belief to that we can't do those things simply because you failed at it. You don't want to try it. So ask yourself, what are the shackles that are holding you back? So which ropes are holding you back? How can you break free? So then this was a question asked to me in the morning as well, and a part of it and portion of it, how to establish rapport with the non-clinical staff attenders as after a few months of training and job, they show a different face towards their job and often leave when objected to their abrupt behavior. Like when they join, we tell them this all is their work, and that time they agree. But after a few months, they say, "ये हमारा काम नहीं है, वो हमारा काम नहीं है," like that. We all face such kind of situations. It might be with associates, it might be with assistants, it might be with chair-side attenders. This is thing we actually face in the life. So, what is the solution for that? So, I'll give you a clinical scenario for this. So, again, a different set of clinical scenario with the assistant in picture. So my assistant whom I have trained threatens me every 2 months to leave me or increase his salary. What do I do? So similar situation. So this is my answer to that. So always believe there is a two-pronged strategy. Why? Firstly, again, find out the cause. I usually don't treat the cause of the don't treat the problem of the patient. I try to go at the cause as well. Always try to find out the, even if the staff is doing certain things, I always try to find out what is the reason behind such behavior. So nurture your trained staff, explain them carefully, nicely that they are a part of your this thing, but then don't scold them in front of a patient. Don't scold them in front of other staff. Don't scold them in front of even your spouse if he or she is a dentist. So do it in the closed walls, you and he, or you and she all together. If it is a she, maybe you would want your wife should say talk to him. So मैं बोलता हूँ एक को डांटने का एक को पलोसने का काम करना चाहिए हमेशा. पलोसना मीन्स जस्ट पेपिंग अप, कोई बात नहीं है तो इनकी आदत है, कोई बात नहीं, थोड़ा सा तुम भी सुधार करो. जस्ट लाइक बैलेंसिंग दोज थिंग्स. अगर आपने ज्यादा डांट दिया तो दूसरा बंदा उसको बैलेंस कर दे. देन remember this thing, if you do in the front of other patients, staff, or family members, uh, you need to realize that they are actually say they also have an ego. But then even if after explaining, even if after following the say above example, if he or she is hell-bent on destruction, just keep another staff member and train him or herself, yourself as well, and then slowly start delegating to the new one, work slowly. If the when the second one gets trained and the first one threatens you, she or she will usually don't do it out of insecurity. But if he still does it, just politely tell him to go and collect his salary after 10 days or whatever your clause of the clinic is. So don't create a ruckus in your clinic. So always have options in that matter, and no one should be indispensable in that regard in a clinic. So, but on the contrary, if we this is a opinion when the staff is a rowdy one. If we come to the other side, I explain normally that staff is your backbone. But again, if your aim is to have better patient satisfaction, money, more output, number of patients, it may be by hook or crook. They should know they are in sync with you. They should not be treating it like a job. It is not a 9 to 5 job for them. Remember this thing. So need to understand that. So the staff also need to share the same mindset. The clinic, say, ideology should be there. Clinic policies, rules, and system. This should be followed by that. But for that, you have to lead by example. If you don't lead by example in your clinic, you don't should not expect others to follow as well. I do that in my setup, be it my family, be it my home, be it my clinic. I lead by example in certain matters, and I expect everyone to follow suit. Of course, I'm not very rigid in that regards, but again, that is what leaders stand for. You have to lead by example. Then when it comes to a marketing plan, let's come for shift our focus back to the marketing plan. What you have to convey to the patient, leaving aside the staff part. So we have to be sure of plan ourselves first. हमेशा मैं बोलता हूँ फर्स्ट कंसल्टेशन पे टाइम स्पेंड कीजिए, अंडरस्टैंड कीजिए, ट्राई टू गेट होल्ड ऑफ ऑल द इन्वेस्टिगेशंस दैट यू कैन, देन चार्ट आउट अ ट्रीटमेंट प्लान, स्पेशली फॉर लॉन्ग केसेस, and write on a plain piece of paper, sleep over it, be sure of it, and then convey to the patient. And don't necessarily write, if the patient wants a written treatment plan, plain, write on a normal piece of paper. Don't write on a plain prescription pad. That might not be used against you, but it might be used against a colleague for you. Then discuss, explore, brainstorm all options with the patient. Once the patient agrees to the treatment plan, the consent has to be there. In return, with charges on patient card in your setup computer in front of the patient or on the consent form itself. As I always say, the customized consent form. Uh, Maybe in January, and I'll be doing it is a long due workshop. I'll be doing maybe in January under Feb first week, the customized consent workshop. I was given a request to do so in August, but somehow it has kept on lingering. But yes, this is one thing. It is on my agenda, and I'll be doing it very shortly in a month or so. So always mentioned in a treatment plan. That is where actually people commit a mistake. If you are giving a treatment plan to the patient, your pros and cons should be there, and the ifs and buts should also be there as well. Normally, problem kahan aati? Where does the problem come? If the estimate is, let's suppose the patient's estimate is 23-24,000, what will we do? हम लोग डरते डरते बोलते आपका एस्टिमेट लगभग 20,000 के आसपास, and let's suppose you have a couple of root canals, core buildup, maybe a bridge, maybe 2 crowns as well, and the total bill is roughly 24,000. And when you are doing the procedure, that core buildup or say the post operative becomes a post and core. So what will you do? Who will pay for that post, which is going to be extra inserted? Maybe 1,000 rupees extra or whatever you are charging, depending upon the post you are using. So who will pay? If there are two of them, your budget will become 26,000. You convey 20,000, or maybe a couple of more things are added. The estimate goes up to 28. Who will cover for that? That is where the problem comes. जैसे आपका 28,000 बिल हो गया, आपने डॉक्टर 20 बोला था, आपने तो 1.5 गुना बढ़ा दिया. They'll make that 28 presume like 30, and that is where the problem comes in our setup. We are not sure of ourselves what we are going to do because we didn't spend enough time in diagnosis, in the treatment planning. Again, a topic for different day altogether. But you need to understand that thing, that you need to cover up for all your say possibilities in that regard. If some patient in that regard comes to me with an estimate of 23 or 24, I will mention 26 plus minus 10%. I'll always mention more. Who can pay you 20, he will pay you 26 as well. ये हमारे को लगता है कि पेशेंट कम नहीं दे सकता है, ज्यादा नहीं दे सकता, whatever. It is our own mindset. Did we ask the patient? People don't compromise for their health. We need to understand that. And if the patient is compromising on health, he will not even spend 20,000. Then you sometimes cut a sorry figure and ask yourself, यार मैंने ज्यादा दे दिया, 18 बोलता तो शायद पेशेंट पड़ जाता. Again, eating up into your profits. You're committing a mistake yourself. Need to understand that and need to realize that very quickly. So if my estimate is 26 plus 10%, it will become automatically 28,600. My overheads are taken care of, which I'm going to do extra. But if I am confident of my skills and treatment plan, and my treatment say comes out to again 23 or 24, the patient will not mind. He has been given an estimate of 26 and he is being charged 23, 24. He'll rather feel happy. He'll become your fan. If you do the reverse, the patient loses faith in your ability. You need to understand that. Then the objectives should provide for feedback as well. That is the reason I always believe that is the one point which always tells you where you need to take corrective action. And corrective action तभी आएगा अगर आपको कोई बताएगा. अगर आप सीधे चल रहे हैं, सोच रहे हैं कि मैं जो कर रहा हूँ वो सही कर रहा हूँ, that is where you're committing a mistake. That is the reason my first slide is thanking the God, and my last slide is always asking for your feedback. Of course, only a few of you give, but that is the reason I always ask for a feedback, because it tells me whether I'm going in the right direction. Because once, luckily, with the God's grace, I have a sixth sense in that sense. I very easily judge what is a positive criticism and what is the one which is trying to pull my leg. So I still don't retaliate back, even if it is a negative criticism. I still take those things into account and take care that the next time those mistakes are not there. We all are humans. We are all prone to mistakes. I'm not a superhuman. I'm not a robot. So why should I be very confident that I am the one who is perfect? Nobody is perfect and nobody ever will be. There is only one perfect, and that is God. Then apply this thing clinically. And once you take a feedback from your staff, from your patients, don't always feel like a boss. Sometimes even your junior assistant or a sixth pass assistant will give you wonderful ideas, and you only the only thing is, if they have a license to speak without being reprimanded, and you have the space between your two ears to listen, absorb, and take action. The only thing is take action in that. Then follow a policy in your clinic. Like, if you don't like my work, please tell me. If you like it, please tell others. This should be the policy. If not in written, it should be the attitude. It should be the way it conveys to your patient that what exactly it is. Then ask for a feedback, maybe in written. Written sometimes will come more formal. I sparingly use the written feedback, but I always take the verbal one, because verbally somebody will actually throw volleys at you, some things at you, some open-ended statements at you. The only thing is, you need sometimes to read between the lines. But if you are too busy, if there are five more patients sitting in your waiting, you will not be able to do that part. So there is a system which you have to create in your practice. My system was created in 2007, ever since the birth of my elder daughter Ananya. So with her, she brought a little spike in the OPD. The OPD jumped 3 to 4 times after her birth on 23rd March 2007. So for a couple of months, I was actually lost. I didn't know how to handle patients, and many patients kept on returning away. In the non-peak times, I had not full appointments, but in the peak times, I had at same time there were multiple 6, 7 patients sitting at the same time. Of course, couldn't treat them all and didn't know how to handle them as well at that time. So yes, slowly adopted a system, shifted to appointment practice. My friends laughed at me. My colleagues laughed at me. My city is a hosiery city, is a business class community city primarily, and people are very laid back in attitude. They might spend millions on their cars and their other wants, but they will rarely spend on treatment. They will reach a multiplex on time, but they will never reach a dentist or a doctor on time. So the only thing was how to convince them to pay on time, how to convince them to come on time. So luckily, since 2007 and onwards till date, I'm having patients with appointment system, and rarely, unless it is a new walk-in, the patient is sitting in my OPD. And even the referral system is such that the most of the referrals also call me up and take an appointment, and then they come, because that is the way that ideology has been conveyed to the patient. So this is the way. This is a system. As I said in the beginning, practice management is a process. You need to convey that to the patient. So what does exactly feedback do? It actually sends three messages to the patient. Number one, you are not overconfident and ready for a change. Then you are humble enough to ask. And then the third, most important, continuous improvement and upgradation are ways of life. And trust me, it builds your rapport big time. Feedback actually helps you. Trust me, there are many colleagues who actually don't give their feedback in the group. They send to me in personal with the sir, I want to say this thing. If you can bring about this change, I really appreciate those things, because as I say, I appreciate negative and positive criticism both. So I always encourage, and I that is the thing I will encourage you to go into and do in your practice as well. If you do continuously keep doing these things in your practice, slowly you will make an equation or a rapport with your patient, and that is where you actually will grow in life further. So then, again, coming back to the staff part a bit, once you develop a trust, you have to actually keep trusting them with their capabilities. Remember, it is his or her capability. Your finance and the responsibility is shared. The keywords are his, your, and our. His or her, one side. So remember, the responsibility for the towards the patient, towards the clinic, has to be shared, and we need to understand that. For that, I have a written quote with me. My paid group members know that uh, I am fond of writing quotes. I've shared more than 450 quotes with them already, and quite a few numbers to go. They'll are in for a bonanza on the last 2 days of the year in the form of many of my quotes. Then this is the quote I always write. I've written in the initial phase of my life. Faith and trust are the biggest weapons of a sane mind. So say, develop that mind, and unless you do that, you will not be, say, having good success in life. Then always respect competition or neighbors, because sometimes we perceive some people as enemies, and we should not consider them competition also for a few reasons, because wo- you might be having say 12 dentists in a 1 square kilometer area, but then everybody will get his due or luck. That is not in your hand, that is in someone else's hand, and that is the one who controls everyone, the Almighty. And then if you think negatively, you are actually spoiling yourself. You're spoiling your plans for the day, you're spoiling your patience for the day, you're spoiling your positive mindset, which can reap you dividends, which can actually let you focus on the task on hand, which can help you do the further task very, very, say, effectively in your practice journey. So then envy and jealousy, if you keep on doing to your colleagues, I really fail to understand why the jealousy subject was never there in any of the 4 years of our, say, BDS time. But why dentists keep on actually, say, doing envy and jealousy to each other? It leads to nothing but only decreased work and more failures. And apart from that, loss of happiness, loss of inner peace. Who are we to actually command that we need this much work in our area for ourselves? That is someone else's job. So that means you don't trust him. If you don't trust him, he's brought you to this world, of course, apart from your parents. So he has not abandoned you. If you keep faith in him, it is his duty to feed you. Your job is to keep doing efforts, whatever you can, in the best way possible. Because if you don't do the efforts in your way, you are actually committing a fault for yourself. Then uh, the sixth marketing plan objective: the individuals who are expected to accomplish their objectives should be given a chance to suggest their objectives. That is where the role of staff comes in. The staff's opinion. I always call them the third eye, Shivji ka teesra netra, or the bird eye. What they will look at the things actually which you don't even look at. Sometimes we'll talk, yeah, we'll talk with an assistant sometimes very casually. यार वो मिसेस शर्मा आई थी, उनको सारा कुछ अच्छा समझाया था, उनको रेट भी मैंने ठीक दिया था, पता नहीं क्यों नहीं आई दोबारा. If the staff has a license to speak, he'll say, आप उनको समझा रहे थे, मैं उनके मुंह की तरफ देख रहा था, वो ऐसे ऐसे मुंह बना रहे थे, she didn't like your plan. So that is the way staff will convey you certain things which you might need to improve next time. Maybe you were not effective in conveying it. Maybe you were not sounding confident in what you were conveying to your patient. These are small little things, and practice management is a very vast thing. So these are the small things you need to pick up, even from someone you may consider lesser learned in your life, but don't underestimate them. That is my only advice. So as we come to the end of this presentation, my all presentations always have a carry home gyan. So changed a bit today. It is the basic gyan or the aaj ka gyan for today, the carry home gyan in the form of my tips, which went viral in 2016. And trust me, even I got from someone that a very famous tips they were forwarded all over, and they were forwarded without any credit. They're still roaming around on net, but to tell you, they originally belong to me, and they were written way back in 2009 or 10. So tip number one: learn from management strongly, the Pareto's principle. As I always say, the first thing is I told you, know yourself. The second thing I told you from the targeting aspect, know your patients. The third thing which I will tell you, know your primary clinic source of income. Where does your 80% revenue come from? Let's suppose you have an OPD of 100, and let's suppose 1 lakh rupees is flowing in your OPD. You will be amazed to find that there will be 20 patients out of that 100 who have paid you around 80,000 rupees out of that 1 lakh, and the remaining 80 patients have paid you 20,000 out of that 1 lakh. So your focus is to identify those 20 patients. Patients के यहाँ पे टेप नहीं लगी होगी, लिखा नहीं होगा I am 20, I am 20, I am 20. So you need to understand and need to realize and need to work on that, and that you can only do if you are not too bogged down in your clinic ongoing, you're not too busy in your practice, you have the time to reflect upon the patient, talk to the patient, reflect upon them. Let the patient talk to you. You'll only judge the patient's needs and wants. Let's go back to the initial slides, marketing and selling. The patient's needs and wants. The Pareto principle relies on that only. You identify the patients based on their needs and wants. Then you decide which patient to treat. Medical legal point wise, also, if you start a patient, you can't abandon the patient midway. but you have full right to refuse the patient at the start. So you decide if you want to treat that patient or not. If the patient has a bad track record with you because of money, because of time, because of any other reason, because of behavior, you have full right to refuse the patient, but at the start. But if you start, you can't abandon him or her midway. Then be accessible to patient always. I mentioned in the yesterday session, people still keep their mobile number, hidden from their patient. They say patients will trouble us. Most of us don't face any night emergencies, maybe once or twice a month, but that's fine. But if the patient feels that the patient is accessible to you, for small to medium clinics especially, the large clinics or the bigger setups will usually have a dedicated number for their clinic. So no harm in that. But for the smaller clinics who actually try to conceal their number, you be accessible to your patient always. It builds up your rapport big time. And then tip number 4, don't run from your problems. Treat your problems in trouble with priority. Switching off your phone is never a solution. And I always say there is a spiritual reason for me. मैं हमेशा मानता हूँ एक बद्दुआ में ज्यादा ताकत होती है एक दुआ से ज्यादा. तो किसी की बद्दुआ मत लीजिए. If somebody is in distress, and if it is primarily because of you, try to treat that patient. Try to treat that patient even going out of the way. It shows your compassion, empathy only to the patient, and that again builds up your rapport in the big time. Then this point I already stressed upon, work only on appointment basis. It gives me peace of mind. I'm able to say, mm, make patients out of patients inside, claim work out of work in my existing patients as well. Then people actually are bothered sometimes. मेरे को बहुत बारी लोगों ने बोला, बहुत बारी, आपके क्लिनिक के आगे से, इट इज ऑन द मेन रोड, आपके क्लिनिक के आगे से बहुत बार निकलते, कभी वेटिंग में पेशेंट बैठा दिखा नहीं आपके. Never mind. I don't get put out by this thing because I'm not showing someone something. I'm still having a OPD of 14 to 15, and I don't mind. I don't need even more than that. I'm happy with 10 to 12 patient OPD as well. People who boast of this fact, especially the small to medium clinics, that we have a OPD of 35, 40. I've been to places like Bhopal, even Jaipur, even in J&K, Jammu, especially. People have claimed मेरी तो 35 की ओपीडी, मेरी 45 की 50 की. I would happily exchange their OPD with my OPD, where I have to sit the whole day, consult those 40, 50 patients, in bargain for even a 200 rupees consultation, taking back home 10,000 rupees every day. I'm very happy to exchange them with that. But if you are treating your patients, you don't need a more than OPD of 10 to 12. So again, don't be bothered if somebody says that this thing. They're usually window shoppers who are never someone's patients. Then I always keep a uniformity of charges in my practice, whether it is an NRI or a say lower class. Yes, out of compassion, I might some reduce amount for them, but I don't give a breakup कि मैंने किस चीज में से कितना reduce किया. So we need to understand that that should be standard. Again, a personal choice, but this is my thing. Uh, then about the resources, I said start early because time is money. I make use of two best things with me. As I said in the beginning, those two things no one can steal from me: my skills and my time, and those belong to me. If you can utilize those properly, you can conquer many mountains, or many frontiers in this world. Then don't start your telephonic conversation on cell phone in the middle of a treatment procedure, even with your friend or a colleague or a family member or anyone. This actually sets a bad precedent. You ask the patient to make the phone on the switch the phone to the silent mode, and you yourself are starting a long conversation. Again, the tip number 10 also, don't start a personal call. Sometimes your patient might understand that your time is more important because you have allotted a certain time, and that time belongs to the patient, especially if you're working on appointment basis on a very strict regimen as I do. Don't indulge in these kind of things. Then don't pack your schedule too much. I said handle only, don't stretch yourself, but don't stretch yourself too much that you become a rubber band at the end of the day. So stretch or pack only what you can handle, especially on a Monday. When the Monday blues are there, I'm still wearing a blue on a Monday. So it was a way to shock off the blues of Monday on a Monday. Anyways, jokes apart. Then my 12th tip would be to not do a normal extraction as a priority in a busy schedule, because of the very simple reason that extraction is never a paying treatment, and sometimes it may turn surgical, and it'll spoil your whole, create a splatter, it'll spoil your whole decorum, it'll spoil your mood, it'll make the other patients irritable who are waiting in the waiting. So you need to understand that, and always never ever indulge in late extractions in the clinic. I never do after 5:30 or 6 p.m. in the evening. 6 p.m. in summers, 5:30 in the winters. I don't do that. Again, a personal choice, but that is the advice I can give to you. Then always leave your worries home. I have a switch off button. Again, by the grace of God, I switch off my home worries when I come to clinic, and vice versa when I go home. Obviously, both are in same place. My clinic is in my residence only. So then sometimes you come across a x-ray if it is saying something bad about the treatment. You don't need to say necessarily bad about your colleagues. As I said, envy and jealousy were never our subjects in BDS final year, so we need to in fact any of the year, not in the final year. So you don't need to actually thrash your colleagues moral character. We can actually explain that as a human error. Patients come to me, they ask me sometimes, आप मेरे को लिख के दोगे? लिख के दोगे means the patient is actually out to spoil somebody else's character. I always say no. Say आप जो कह रहे हो, say what do you want from me? If you want the treatment from me, we shall not discuss the past, and I will try to do if I can help you out in this case. If you want to say want me to write something bad against your colleague, the door is that way. I say it very politely, and we never discuss the past. Many times I've treated colleagues' mistakes, and even don't know the name of the colleague. I'm not interested in collecting that kind of data in my mind, because that is a negative data. For self-employed like you, for us, for most of us, those who are not salaried, I always say treat your monthly income as your salary. Never take it out unless it is urgent, because this is one tip that can actually make you plan your finances better. So, and the last tip, again, a quote written by me, I mean it very, very fully. If your assets become your liabilities, it is better to get rid of them as soon as possible. And I am actually uh, applying this in the coming year as well. I keep on doing this. Whatever liabilities I have, I'll be shunning off a couple of them in a few days' time. So then always under promise and over deliver. Never do the opposite. Because sometimes you will promise the moon and reach straight up. That is actually you will falter. It is all a game of perception. You do over promise and under deliver. That is going to create a problem for you in your life. So put first things first, focus on important tasks. And again, one of my quotes, start early, plan well, finish early and well. So be contented in what you get in your life. There might not be sometimes a limit to what you can achieve or what you can get or what you will want in your life or in your practice. Satisfaction is the biggest key to happiness. And if you're not satisfied, you will never be happy, even if you have, say, 100 million practice in any time of your life. So I hope you are not bored enough. So the last few slides, so to change your life, it is the time to step up and do just that. So you have to be a go-getter, and you need to realize that. So focus on where you are and where you want to go, because and not not what you fear. Try to understand that there is a big difference in the two lines. So Benjamin Franklin ne electricity invent की, but it was the man who invented the meter who made it a real fortune. So what does this slide say? If efforts in the right direction can help the person climb higher. So मतलब बिजली की इजाज उसने की हो, लेकिन पैसा तो उसने कमाया जिसने मीटर बनाया. So the last session for the paid group, last session for the year, last session for this season would be tomorrow. I've discussed finance basics till part 5. Tomorrow it is a very interesting topic on finance basics, part 6. Again, it is a topic for the paid group, but I'll try to share it, the link in the free groups as well. So if anybody of you is willing to the same time join together. I overshot my time today by 10 minutes, but then the topic was very interesting, and these management topics are very close to my heart. So I don't actually say skip. So thank you so much for your patient hearing. And there are so many videos on YouTube. This is a channel primarily for dentists. So you can subscribe to the channel if you want. I'll be posting very regular videos. You'll have a bombardment of videos in the new year. Don't worry, I can assure you that. So again, a carry home point from today's session as well. Do send me your feedback, and you won't know how valuable it is for me. Can be personal, can be in group. Bookers and brickbats both welcome in equal measure. I really appreciate in whatever way it comes. So thank you so much. And I stop my share for queries and unmute you all so that you can ask me questions. So you all can unmute yourself and ask me. Okay, let me see the chat messages first. How come assets become liability, sir? Pratik, there are certain things in life when you trust certain things, you have they are for a certain purpose. When they solve a certain purpose, you are happy with them. But you are actually you ride on them, you thrive on them, you actually grow through them, you want to actually learn through them. So, but once they start doing the opposite, you need to quickly realize and quickly understand that yes, now it is no longer the same benefit which it was providing. So understand the difference between the asset and the liability and get rid of it as soon as possible. So Dr. Ajay, thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Mona Lisa. Thank you, Dr. Jogender. Thank you, Dr. Charu. Thank you, Dr. Kusum. Any questions, please? Please feel free to ask. I'm all there. Dr. Ganesh is not here. He asked the question in the morning. I hope, Dr. Pratik, you got the answer to what you asked in the morning in the paid group. Thank Dr. Sumit, Dr. Sonal. Can you give example of asset and liability? Sometimes our paying patients can be our assets. We rely on them कि हाँ ये patient आएगा तो he'll make me pay a good amount. But then sometimes after a few years in practice, these patients, I'm giving you a clinical example only, these patients will start walking in at any time and they will want that you are their personal dentist. They will want them to treat at that time. And you will actually say, out of the fear of not losing them, you will try to skip your regular patient and start paying them attention. For me, such patients become liabilities. And at that point of time, I like to always be very frank and open. I don't mind losing such a patient, even if it is there. Yes, a small adjustment might be fine, but if something is utilizing your resources or yourself in a bad way, then that becomes a liability. If I were to give a same example in personal life, some activity that maybe you're doing, let's suppose reading, you're doing reading. People say as traveling is to body, reading is to mind. As say you're doing reading, but while reading you get lost in your say any old past bad experiences every time you pick up the book. So that reading, which was supposed to give you some, say, positive impact, is giving you a negative impact. So that asset which you were about to create becomes a liability. So there can be wonderful examples. There are a few more examples. My paid group as well. It was my biggest asset, but it turned into a liability for me. So that is why I'm trying to get rid of it in 4 days time. So people might find it odd to hear that, but yes, I didn't start it for the purpose of say taking money. Whatever money I get from paid group, it was a peanut amount, 2,500. For the late joiners, 3,500. It was only meant to actually say the whole money goes to my donation part only. So but it was meant to actually interact with people. But what has happened in the past more than 8 months or so, people had a lot of time. I did a lot of interaction with them in the form of SWOT analysis. What has happened is I'm doing the only the one way type of communication, and that is the thing I don't like. I thrive by debates. I thrive by interactions. I want to indulge in more such kind of intelligent communication or intellectual communication, which is not happening. But yes, at the back of the mind, it is I remember that it is my duty, it is my responsibility that I have to convey, I have to give the data in that. I am charging 4,000 for a SWOT analysis for 4 sessions. I've done for 39 of them in this 1 year. So their whole year is covered in one SWOT session itself, more than that only. In spite of that, I've given them more than 2,000 pages of content if the whole backup is there with me. But then if that thing is becoming my liability, it is great eating into my productive time. I don't want to continue with it. So that is the reason. I didn't want to say it, but then repeatedly asked about that, then I had to give the example of that. Sorry about that, but then uh, Dr. Vrinda asks, thank you, Dr. Anupama. Thank you, Dr. Archada. Do you suggest that a dentist should have a GST number? We don't need a GST number. Healthcare is exempted from GST. We do not need a GST in that sense. Unless you're doing a cosmetic work more than 20 lakhs, even that 20 lakhs is now changed to 40 lakhs now. So if you are doing a aesthetic work of that amount in a year, you need a GST. Otherwise, you don't need a GST. So how to manage patients, VIP family members with VIP syndrome? You need to very clearly, very be vocal about. See, we need to understand why the patient has chosen you. They've chosen you for the skills part or you for the internal marketing part. My internal marketing part relies on basically zero waiting time, maybe not making the patients wait and working them according to the time and doing things in certain organized manner. But then if the patient has chosen me because of my pricing, he'll surely will not be a VIP patient. So VIP patients also value those things. The only thing is we need to convey them certain things, that the system of the OPD is such that if you want me to treat you, you have to come in that manner. Otherwise, if they are not ready to obey it, it is always better to get rid of such patients if they are not good paymasters as well, because we'll sometimes shock from asking for payment from them as well also. We will shock from asking them to come on time as well also. If they are liabilities in that sense, it is better not to have such patients. But then all VIPs are not having such kind of syndrome. Those who actually obey what you want, you can actually continue with them. But then yes, you can give them a slightly preferred or a priority treatment, but the rules shall apply to all, if it whether it is in the terms of timings or whether it is in terms of payment part. So I hope you get your answer. If not, you can ask again in any other form you want. Okay, Dr. Farah, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Vrinda. Dr. Mona Lisa, I have a good trained attendant but not obedient. Is he a asset or liability? Should I change him or keep as I can work smoothly? Ma'am, I gave a very good example for that. You need to talk out to the patient. There is a whole slide having 8, 9 points in that. So I mentioned that slide. Probably you didn't, you missed out on that. So you can check out that slide. But I always believe talking out is the first solution. Always talk out. बात करने से ही बात बनती है और बात निकलेगी तो दूर तक जाएगी, as they say. So talk out with them. If you can talk, if you can convince them, they'll become your assets. They are. If your assistant is a good and a trained one, he or she is definitely an asset to your clinic, and don't treat him as a liability. The only thing is we need to sometimes soften our says mindset towards them if we are not conveying things as, or they are not obeying to certain things which we want. We might be at a fault sometimes as well. So we need to look at, as I said at the start, one finger at you and others and three fingers at you. You need to understand whether if they're not obeying, maybe something might be wrong at your side. I'm not saying it is, but then we just need to have a quick look at ourselves as well, that and then we talk it out. And if still the things don't get good, employ an alternate staff and get rid of the liability as soon as possible. Thank you, Dr. Prayan. Dr. Raghu, thank you. I hope your question was answered. You asked something more in the morning, I guess. Let me take that as well. Let me check. Okay. You asked, is the consulting table needed for a clinic, sir? Can things be discussed along chair side and the patient be sent off, sir? Sometimes it is difficult to spend more time with some patients when other patients are waiting outside. And what is your thought on fixing the consulting fees? Isn't that what brings the patient in? Should it be minimal? See, consulting table or not, personal choice. Always believe there should be something to sit and talk across the table. There are many things. There are many, say, scenarios where you need to explain the patient about the terms and conditions, about the way of working, about your treatment plan. For all those, you need the consulting chair surely. So you can discuss certain things on the treatment chair, but not all of them. If you are having an associate staff or maybe a dentist wife or a spouse, I mean to say, uh, while you're talking to the patient, the other patient can be taken care of on the other chair by the other staff member, by your wife or spouse or your associate dentist. So it is always better to have a consulting chair table. Yes. Uh, Spending more time as other patients are waiting, I always believe in treating one patient at one time. I already said I don't believe that the patient should be waiting in the OPD unless it is a new walk-in, and that also is acknowledged according to the ASAP phenomenon that I've discussed many a times. The patient is acknowledged immediately upon arrival, and the patient is told how much time it is going to take. And if it is a new patient, if it is a walk-in, new walk-in, of course. If it is an old patient, he or she will come on the scheduled time, what time I have given after my consultation finishes off. So I don't indulge in those kind of things when I have multiple settings, multiple patients waiting in my OPD. So lastly, what is your thought on fixing the consulting fees? See, consulting fees, there is that is a personal choice, but I always believe that you all, we all rather, have a right to get consultation, and there is no harm in charging that. Minimal or maximal, a personal choice, but putting a certain value on what you say is always important. If you keep on doing things for free, trust me, you will actually not get the desired results as you want in your clinical life. I hope you get your answer. Okay, Dr. Krishan, thank you so much. Uh, Dr. Sumit, what is the art of criticism such that staff doesn't feel bad about it in any example? I mentioned it, Dr. Sumit. Whatever conversation will happen, it should happen in the closed doors, where even your spouse is not there, where even the other associate, other assistant dentist is not there, the you2 should be there. And yes, the language should be polite. You shouldn't go below the belt. You shouldn't use any cuss words. But remember that everyone has an ego, big or small, that should not be hurt in any way. But on that matter, I always say, give an example that if two of you are dentists, one of them can do the, say, pressing part and the other can do the flossing part. मतलब एक डांटे और एक पलोसे, those things can be done if you two are dentists. So otherwise, word to word, man to man communication or man to woman communication, as I say, should happen, and that should not be there. There should not be anything bad in that. And but then make sure that if you want to convey something to your staff, the same has to be followed by you as well. Rules apply to everyone. My clinic starts at 9, the staff comes at 8:30. I'm in my clinic at 8:55, 9:05 a.m. My first patient. Most of the time, it starts. So there are no hiccups in that, and I'm rarely late for my appointment. Even say even my 21 years of clinic, which 21 years are going to be completed in 4 days time. So even in my 21 years of clinic, I have not been late into my clinic 21 times only. So again, as I said in the session itself, lead by example, do certain things yourself firstly before you want them to be done by your staff. So there, otherwise there is no other way out in that. Thank you, Dr. Jimit. Your message was heart touching. I'll get back to you very soon in what you sent in the morning. Thank you, Dr. Ramchandra, Dr. Madhvi. Thank you. Dr. Raghu, thank you. Any more queries or we call it a day? Okay, then I there are no queries. See you tomorrow. I'll try to post the finance link, the basics part 6, and it's going to be a very interesting session on banking. The basics of banking we all need to know. So hope a few of you join tomorrow. Thank you so much. Take care. Have a good day and a good night.